Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. It was a bloody day for residents in Westmoreland as rivalry between gangs in the parish left 7 persons dead, including 2 children. As early as 8:25 yesterday morning, gunmen went on a rampage, leading to the death of 24-year-old O'Dane Drummond of Godfrey Street. He was shot and killed while 3 others were injured. A few hours later, another life was cut short, this time in Top Lincoln. According to reports from the police, an unidentified male was shot and killed, while 4 persons were shot and injured by unknown assailants around 6:15. The bloodletting continued approximately 2 hours later as gunmen went back to Sterling District, killing Sheldon Morgan Sr. and his 2-year-old son, Sheldon Morgan Jr. The gunmen also firebombed his car. About 9:20, 39-year-old Nadine Rowe and her son Nicoy Bourne, aged 10, a student of Grange Hill Primary School, were murdered. Both are from Sterling District. TVJ News understands that the victims were at home when men armed with guns pounced on them and opened fire, killing them. 3 houses were also firebombed in the Fullerfield area of Grange Hill, where 1 person was confirmed dead and 2 other family members reported missing. And a Member of Parliament for the area, that's Western Westmoreland, Dr. Wickham McNeil, described the situation in Sterling as a scene from the Wild West.
We understand, or today, I understand that in Grange Hill, that there were shooting this morning and 2 people were killed in Sterling, a district of Grange Hill. And then this afternoon, after it was raining heavily, after the rain, that there was a big shootout in Top Lincoln right beside the market, and that different. I hear up to 6 people shot. I was just told that there could be up to 5 bodies in the shop, in the bar that they were in. It's unconfirmed reports, but the fact is that the different calls I'm getting is that this is like some scene out of the Wild West, that there are shots being fired all over the place, and that it's mayhem.
2 guns, including a licensed firearm belonging to a member of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, were seized by the police in the St. Catherine North Division yesterday. The councillor is being questioned by the police. The gun was found during a spot check around 11:45 in the morning on the Bogwalk Main Road. Ground Commander for the State of Emergency in St. Catherine North Division, Senior Superintendent Gary Griffiths, gave details.
During an operation along the Bogwalk Main Road, joint police JDF operation, a white Honda Accord was stopped with 4 men aboard. The vehicle was searched and a 9mm Beretta found. It was subsequently linked to a counsellor who is presently being interviewed by the police.
The second firearm was found in Belfield. No arrest was made. 6 firearms have been seized by the police since the imposition of the state of emergency in the St. Catherine North Division. With the possible extension of the state of emergency being debated presently in the Senate, business operators in St. James are lamenting the impact it's having on their livelihoods. One vendor who sells cane in Montego Bay told our news team that he has had to live with the consequences of the state of emergency even though he's losing money. However, Managing Director of the Western Mirror and former Member of Parliament for Central St. James, Lloyd B. Smith, says even though the state of emergency in St. James is yielding positive results, it's now time for both the government and the opposition to move past that measure.
There ought to be a certain level of confidentiality among the various stakeholders to move forward towards other solutions, because the states of emergency are merely interim measures. And between now and August, I would hope that the government will point in a direction which will strongly suggest that it will be moving away from this particular exercise and will introduce for the more medium and long term a solution that will help the crime situation on a sustained basis.
And this just in, the government has appointed the Emergency Powers Review Tribunal, and the members are Garth McBean, QC, is the chairman, Dorothy Lightburn, QC, and Reverend Nigel Pusey. That's the three members of the Emergency Powers Review Tribunal that's linked to the state of emergencies. The state of emergency, Mr. Garth McBean, QC, Dorothy Lightburn, and Reverend Nigel Pusey. Members of the House of Representatives on Tuesday issued apologies for their poor behaviour last week, which saw that sitting come to an abrupt end. At last week's sitting, there was a shouting match with what could be considered threats being thrown between MP for Western Westmoreland, Darrell Vaz, and the opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, following the Health Minister's presentation on the Cornwall Regional Hospital sick building saga. On Tuesday, Mr. Vaz and Mr. Campbell apologised to each other.
I want to put on Hansard, apologize not only to my colleagues here, those who were in attendance, but the entire Jamaica.
Leader of Government Business Carl Samuda and Leader of Opposition Business Philip Powell also offered apologies to their colleagues, the students who were present last week, as well as the general public. The Agriculture Ministry is to launch a fruit tree planting program as part of the effort to boost growth in the sector. Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw made the announcement as he opened the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. According to Mr. Shaw, the government intends to craft a $1.5 billion public-private partnership agreement to support the fruiting of Jamaica.
You name the fruit, we're going to plant it. The 4-H Club themselves, when I met with them, Prime Minister, they have said to me that they are inspired by the idea and they are going to provide the first 1 million seedlings over the next year. We want to plant 1 million fruit trees per year over the next 5 years. At the end of 5 years, 5 million fruit trees must be planted in Jamaica.
Mr. Shaw also revealed that plans are in place to get more farmlands into production. Based on the 2007 agricultural census, more than 325,000 hectares of lands are registered under the agricultural sector, but only 202,000 hectares are in active production. That's just over 60%. Mr. Shaw said this will be addressed by promoting larger farms, lifting the productivity of smaller players, and expanding irrigation. The RGR Gleaner Communications Group has signed an agreement to acquire a significant stake in the popular e-commerce platform Gustavus Jamaica. The new venture with Gustavus will combine the benefits of consumer discount offers through Gustavus's proprietary online technology with expansive market reach of the RGR Gleaner Group's traditional media platforms. The RGR Gleaner Group CEO, Gary Allen, says the acquisition aligns with the group's digital strategy as well as its thrust to diversify income sources with complementary businesses over the next 5 years.
New areas of an exciting business prospect for the strongest media group in the English-speaking Caribbean. It's also the media group that has the most talented set of people that are ready to deliver new things from a traditional media base.
He says this is one of a series of announcements the company is hoping to make in the short to medium term. Gustavus features more than 1 million subscribers in the Caribbean. Last year, Gustavus Jamaica helped local merchants achieve sales of more than $124 million. Head of the Police, Traffic and Highway Division, Senior Superintendent Calvin Allen, is speaking out about the frequency of road crashes. Over the past 4 days, there have been reports of at least 3 separate fatal crashes. However, SSP Allen noted that there have been 5 less road fatalities between January 1 and May 1 this year, compared with the corresponding period last year. On TVJ's Smile Jamaica program this morning, he again stressed that speeding and indiscipline continue to be the leading causes of road fatalities. He pointed to the weekend crashes on the Mandela Highway and Trelawney.
The driver, however, has been charged because the evidence from the collision speaks to the fact that he was reckless, careless, and dangerous in how he was operating. A vehicle that was traveling in a westbound fashion and ended up in a eastbound side, colliding with several other vehicles. The one in Trelawney resulted from excessive speeding and the driver failing to keep their side of the lane. So by whatever means they drifted, it could be that they were in the process of overtaking. But when you look at that stretch of road, there's no corner. From here to another 1,000 meters, you're seeing straight road. Right? So the whole aspect of how that collision occurred clearly speaks to a level of indiscipline and impatience.
He also noted that pedestrians are still being killed in most crashes.
They are crossing the street, they are not paying attention.
They're taking selfies and crossing the street.
If we can cut pedestrian fatality in half, we can go below 300.
Time now for a look at what's coming up in this evening's Health Report. In the next edition of the Health Report, we'll look at chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we'll look at chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD.
The risks of smoking, which puts you at risk for oral cancer, esophageal cancer, lung cancer, stomach cancer, bladder cancer, plus the other risk of damaging your blood vessels, and you end up losing limbs or digits.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Here are some ways you can manage your COPD. Quit smoking. Eat right and exercise. Get rest. Take your medications correctly. Use oxygen appropriately. Avoid infections. And learn techniques to bring up mucus.
And in sports, Michael "Wasp" Gardner will be aiming to record his 5th consecutive win when he takes on Canada's Jason Kelly in the 5th preliminary match of the Rain Navy Contender Series on Wednesday night at the Chinese Benevolent Association headquarters. Jordan Fort reports.
24-year-old Michael "Wasp" Gardner, who made it to the semi-finals of the Contender Series in his debut season 2 years ago, is back and aiming to go all the way this year. Since losing to eventual winner, the American veteran DeMarcus "Chop Chop" Corley in June 2016, the former bruising gym boxer moved to Panama to develop his boxing skills. After losing his first fight in Central America, Gardner has since won 4 consecutive bouts. Despite not fighting since last December, Gardner says he's in the best shape of his life.
Tip-top condition. I've been in the gym, sparring 240 rounds, 840 minutes, running 300 miles. I'm in tip-top condition for this fight. Sparring partner, Nick Night Reed, couldn't get a better sparring partner for the competition.
34-year-old Canadian Jason Kelly, who won his first career fight on December 16 last year, confessed to struggling with the weight stipulation.
I was at middleweight, 160, so trying to cut the weight to get down to this one has been tough in the hot sun. I'm just in there to throw, to have fun. 34 years old, 35 in July. I'm fighting Jamaica's #1 fighter. I knew going into this fight it was going to be a tough fight. The cut was going to be tough. I had an accident 5 years ago that gave me a second chance of fighting again. I was partially paralyzed for a couple of weeks, so no matter what happens in the fight, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to give Michael Gardner a tough fight.
Both boxers tipped the scale at the limit of 147 pounds, and Gardner is promising to punish Kelly throughout the 5-round contest.
When I look past anyone and underestimate anyone, but as I asked, the record speaks for itself, and the worst is here to sting. So don't buck up in our worstness.
Just be smart. Be smart, be fresh, be fast, be quick. We know that he's fast and he hits hard, so we're going to do what we can and see where we go from that. We know it's a chess game in there, so we're going to see what we do with what we got.
Jamaica leads the series 3-1 over Canada. TVJ will have live coverage on Wednesday night's fight starting at 9:30 p.m.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for Primetime News and Primetime Sports, where we'll have more on to this morning's launch of the Jamaica Amateur Athletics Association's track meet, which will be held later this month. We'll have much more on that in Primetime Sports. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.